Welcome. I'm Michelle Marchant Johnson with Love Life Coaching. Now, have you ever considered that the more you know and understand about what's going on in the mind and heart of men in general, the more likely it is that you would be able to have a loving, satisfying, joyful relationship with one of them of your choosing? Well, that's one of the reasons why for the last 4 summers I've produced an event called the Man Panel, where I interview all male speakers to give you insights into the hearts and minds of men. Now, yes, ladies, let me just say right up front that I also believe that men need to be understanding more about what goes on in the hearts and minds of women. But I want to share with you a few themes that came forward in a significant way from this year's Man Panel as a refresher for those of you that were part of that event and for the benefit of those of you who may have missed it. So the first key theme that came forward from this year's Man Panel was men do want to please you and they do want to make a difference in your life. Now, why is this important? This is important because men get a lot of their satisfaction from being in a relationship with a woman, from feeling like their presence in your life makes a difference. Now, I know for so many of us, we've become very independent, very self-sufficient, and we kind of navigate the world with this, I've got this kind of attitude. And we can be proud of our accomplishments and we can be proud of who we are and what we're doing in the world. At the same time, if a man can't see where his presence in your life can make a difference, or you having him around makes a difference for your life, it's hard for him to feel as fulfilled in a relationship as he would like to. Now, men also, good men, also really do want to please the woman that they're with, the woman that they're interested in, the woman that they're dating, the woman that they're in a relationship with. But one of the key things that has come forward is what I want to say as insight number 2 that came from the Man Panel, and that is that men are not mind readers. They don't automatically know what we're thinking, what we're wanting, what would please us all of the time. And they don't speak hint. So that's kind of a 2-part piece of kind of the same side of the coin, if you will. So one of the things that I have learned in my now almost 13-year marriage is that my husband deeply wants to please me. It makes him happy to know that he's pleasing me and making a difference in my life. But sometimes he needs a little bit of an assistance, to know how to please me, what would make me happy. And so a simple way to accomplish this is to just simply to tell him in a clear, direct, straightforward, but sweet kind of way. So it might sound like, you know, honey, what I've really been craving all week is some Italian food. It would make me so happy if you would set up a reservation and let's go out for Italian food this weekend. Now that's how I might say it to my husband. When you're dating, if a man says, what would you like to do or where would you like to go? You could just say something like, you know, I've really been wanting to try that new Greek restaurant that opened up, or I also really enjoy Mexican food. Could you plan something and let me just sit back and relax and enjoy it? And then when he does, you can also acknowledge, appreciate, and thank him for that. So it creates this win-win scenario of you getting what you want and him also getting the satisfaction of knowing he's provided something for you in a way that makes a difference. I've described this in a previous video as kind of a basketball analogy, where you're like the guard dribbling the ball down the floor, the court, and you might pass it off to the forward. That represents the man, who then gets to make the basket. But since you're playing on the same team, hopefully, then you both win. You both get the points. So that's another key theme is men, they do want to make a difference in your life. They do want to know that their presence in your life makes a difference. And they don't necessarily speak, hint, or automatically know by mind reading what it is you want. So we've covered the first 2. The third theme that came forward was men do have feelings and men are afraid of getting hurt too. So, one of the things that came forward to me in interviewing all of these men over the past few years and recently for this most recent man panel was that men have experienced rejection. Men are oftentimes afraid to approach. Men don't want to be the creepy guy. They don't want to be seen as the creepy guy that a woman doesn't want around. I'm talking about men in general here, the good guys. And so sometimes they need a little bit of a go signal or a little bit of a I'm open to a conversation or to being approached signal, which can be as simple as smiling, making eye contact, or even in certain situations, maybe starting the conversation. But having that warmth and friendliness that lets a man know that you're open and that he would be safe to approach without getting rebuffed, rejected, or getting his head bit off is a very real thing for men. And especially in some of the climate of the world today where men want to be good men, want to be very careful about how they approach or come on to a woman. Sometimes it's really important for us to let them know that we would be receptive and that we would be open and interested or available for them to approach. So online, that can be a version of you sending a light, fun, friendly message. You don't need to be asking them out necessarily. You don't need to be making the first move in that way. But it's like the online dating version of smiling or making eye contact from across the room. In real life, the smiling, making eye contact can make a big difference. And I can remember speaking to one of my clients a while back, and we were talking about this receptivity in real life and being receptive to men in real life. And she said to me one day, she said, I feel afraid and I feel nervous and I feel scared. And she said, I realize that not only am I not smiling or making eye contact, but I've actually been giving men the death stare. Which is kind of an extreme version, but I think sometimes it looks more like we're being preoccupied, we're looking at our phone, or we're moving so fast through life, or we're distracted, and we don't have what I call the mantanas turned on, so we're not even necessarily noticing men around us, let alone giving the it's safe to approach signal. So I just want you to know that men have expressed to me a very sincere desire for women to understand that it can be very scary for them to approach. They feel that rejection, that risk of rejection. And so if you do want to be open and available to let a man know that you are open to being approached or to having conversation, you may need to give a little bit of a go signal to make it safe. We'll talk about this more in the future. The fourth theme that came forward in this year's Man panel, and this really touched me because I think sometimes as women we wonder about this, and that is, do relationships really matter to men on a deep core level? So I think oftentimes there's a perception that as women we care a lot more about a relationship, particularly a committed, loving partnership relationship than a lot of men do. So let me say this with a caveat. Men absolutely do care about relationship, at least the vast majority about them. And most of them long for a place that is safe for them to share themselves intimately, not just in a physical or sexual way, but in an emotional way. And I've even had a couple of men that have almost teared up when they've shared with me how deep this desire is to be with a woman where they feel safe, where they know the woman's got his back, where she's not going to be his harshest critic, where she's going to believe in him and cheer him on and build him up as he goes out and does battle in the world. Now, we want that kind of support, and we want someone to have our back too. But for men, one of the things they've shared with me is that they have so little other outlet, so few outlets for this kind of support other than in an intimate partnership, and perhaps even less so than many women do. Because as women, oftentimes we're more connected with our girlfriends. We may have more connection with sisters or familial support. or some other sources of support where we encourage each other, where we have the time and energy and take the time and energy to listen to each other, to care about each other, to compliment each other. And men live, for the most part, in a very competitive world where other men are not necessarily going to do this for them. And most of their conversations with other men, even if they're friends, are more about the sports teams or work or how's it going, dude? But they don't often have an outlet for sharing some of those deep emotional feelings, desires, hopes, dreams, fears in any other way. And so, in addition to desiring sexual and physical intimacy, again, in the case of most men, most of them really do desire to have a relationship with a woman who they trust, feel safe with. I'm talking emotionally safe with, for that expression of themselves that may have no other outlet. And this really touched me as men have shared with me how important this is to them. And so I think it's a wonderful thing to know and just remember. The fifth thing that came as a big theme from this year's Man panel is something I know we hear often, but I think it's really almost impossible to overemphasize how important this is and how meaningful it is to a man. So the closest way I know how to describe it is that for women, we have a desire to be deeply loved, cherished, adored. We desire to be treated well, and we desire to be seen as a woman, as a special one, as that unique woman that a man holds in esteem and loves and adores and cherishes above all other. For men, I think an equivalent might be they deeply long for admiration, acknowledgement, acceptance, and respect. And I think this is important for women to know because for most women, in order to not only fall in love with a man, but especially to stay in love with him over long term, you need to be with a man who you can respect, who you can appreciate, admire, acknowledge, and who you see as someone that is worthy of that. And the reason this is so important is that oftentimes, if a woman loses that sense of respect or admiration for a man, the loving feelings that may have been there at one time will tend to go out the window as well. But for a man, he can feel completely demasculized if he is not admired, respected, appreciated, and respected. And so men desire this on a deep level. They want you to see the best in them. And men have also shared with me that they see beauty in the woman that they're with. If they choose to be with a woman, they see her beauty. I'm not just talking physical beauty, but they accept who you are and they see the beauty of who you are. And men desire this kind of acceptance, admiration, appreciation, and respect. And we can make them feel emasculated in what seem like very benign ways, but we can also build them up in what seem like really simple ways. Just having your face light up when you see a man. If you're happy to see him, let your face show it. Notify your face that you're happy to see him. This is something I'm seeking to do even in my own marriage. When my husband comes home from work every day, I acknowledge him with my eyes and with my smile. He wants to be seen, he wants to be appreciated. I let him know I appreciate his presence in my life. I let him know that I appreciate him going to work every day to help provide for us. I let him know that the little things that he does make a difference for me in my life. And I respect who he is, and I respect him enough that I'm not going to publicly criticize him or talk about him in a negative way behind his back when he shares his struggles, his hopes, his dreams, his fears with me. That's something that I hold as being sacred and in a safe place that is between he and I. So anything I share about what might be going on with him is something we've privately agreed that I could share publicly. So these are 5 themes that have come through, along with many others from this year's Man panel. But I just thought I'd share a little kind of, wrapping up the summer kind of recap for the Man panel that took place earlier this summer. And also wanted to let you know that as an extension of the Man panel, beginning next month, I'll be doing a monthly Man of the Month video as part of an ongoing extension of the Man panel. That will just be coming out via email here on my YouTube channel, and you'll be able to access that as I roll those out. But I've already started recording them. They're really good. You're going to love them. So there will be more opportunity to learn more about what's going on in the hearts and minds of men so that you can have incredible relationships with them. So be sure to like this video. Feel free to leave a comment below about anything I've said or anything else that stands out for you that we should all know about men in general. And also be sure to subscribe to this channel because I will be releasing regular content on an ongoing basis. I'm sending you love, blessings, and cheering you on from here. Bye-bye for now.